to begin today with vision. A vision for what an educational environment in which empathy is the central tool for learning, for teaching and learning. So I want you to first imagine a learning circle or a learning community. And there's people sitting in a circle. And it could be people of any age. And each one of them has something burning for them, something in the heart. And it may be a little bit of an inquiry, a little bit of curiosity, but it might be something that drives them. It might even be something they don't fully understand, they can't fully articulate. But they have this sense of, there's something I want to understand more. There's this problem I'm facing. I see this problem over and over again. I see this challenge. It might be something I'm facing personally or something I see in society or in my learning environment or my family. I don't quite understand it, but anyone who's in the circle is coming with some range from curiosity to just having a deep need to understand something or to solve or resolve something. And I want you to imagine that this learning community has a knowing. They have learned how to access their empathic intelligence as much or perhaps more even, or at least in a different way, as they can access their normal means of thought or their typical means of thought using their mind and regular cognition, understanding, research, language-based information. So we've got these two modes of knowing, one that's based in something I'm calling empathic intelligence, and one that's based in how we typically understand the intellect. And in this community, this learning community, these are people who are comfortable and confident and strong in both of these ways of knowing. And then they also have ways of knowing that might be unique to them. Maybe they are people who like to dance, or maybe they're people who like to make art, or maybe they are research scientists and have a particular using the scientific method, a scientific approach to making sense of the world. However, what other additional tools they have in terms of making sense of the world and making meaning, they have this capacity, they have developed their empathic intelligence. And one of the gifts of this level of inquiry, this level as access to empathic intelligence, is that the process of learning becomes as joyful, as meaningful as the information that they want to learn. So this learning circle has a couple things going for it. One is that they are all coming with something that they have a high motivation to learn personally, because it's personally meaningful to them, and they have the access to a way of knowing through their empathic intelligence as well as their intellect. And their empathic intelligence is a source of joy for them. It's something that when they're using it, the process gives them insight that they could not access otherwise. It allows them to know things about other people, about other parts of the system that they are exploring, about what they're researching, that they can perceive in a way that truly expands what they know and intersects with something that's personally meaningful to them. So this learning circle is a very special group. The other thing that they are able to do is when they are inquiring into something, they have, because through their empathic intelligence, what they have learned is that the doorway to knowledge, the doorway to knowing, is through their own heart, through their own capacity to share and understand the experiences of another. So I'm going to let that sit. I'm going to let that sit for myself a little bit. But imagine that. Imagine that if I come to you and I say, I really want to understand the political situation right now. I don't understand people who support candidate A or candidate B or choose a third party candidate C. I don't understand those people. How can I understand them better? What will understanding them give me? And that we can sit and before we even talk about it, before we even go online to research it, before we even listen to the historian in the room who can give us some context or some analysis, we actually can inquire through our empathic intelligence and gain insight that will deeply connect with my personal question. And that will move me beyond. It moves the edge of what I know into something much greater. So imagine that this learning circle has that capability, and they are really excited every time a person brings a question to the group. They are excited to be in community, to have this opportunity to be in what used to be called a classroom. And now they take that same group of people and instead are excited to make themselves available to answer your question or to answer my question. And using a process that they may have devised or a process that the facilitator has come up with, they can enter into the person's question, into my question, using their empathic intelligence, and they can receive incredible rich sort of information that they can share back to me as the person who's asking the question. And then I can go back with that information. I can use my intellect. I can use my research. I can ask new questions. And in this way, I am a member of a vibrant learning community. And for me, what's even more exciting about this learning community is that I also might find other people who are interested in the same question, who then want to take what we've learned and create something new in the world. I think a lot of times, I'm going to go off on a tiny little tangent, but it's relevant to the way we think about education. In the system of education, one of the most consistent things we experience is that education needs reform, right? The one constant is change, and in particular, the one constant in education is that we must change education. Oftentimes, we try to create change to the system by working inside of the system. And so changes are like these little tweak a little bit here, tweak a little bit there, and measure to get some kind of result, and you get something. But it's not paradigm shifting. It's rarely paradigm shifting. I think there are actually many, many pockets of people who are genuinely shifting the paradigm of the way we've thought about education. And I love making contact with those people, and reading about and hearing different models for how people are doing teaching and learning or not doing teaching and learning. So I love hearing about those new ways. And for me, actually, that when I hear those new ways, that's what I find most exciting. I think there are some people for whom their work is around creating change inside the system. And there are some people who have said, you know what, I'm going to leave that system, let it do whatever it wants to do. I'm going to build something new. And in fact, there is, it was recently introduced to me, the Burkana Institute. I can put a link or maybe show something with the video. I'll edit the video with information about the 2 loops model, the double loop model, in which old systems rise and fall, and we help to hospice out the old system, and new systems start to emerge. And in that process of emergence, there are people who are pioneers in helping establish the things that will become new systems. My interest in education is not so much in hospicing up in the old system and trying to work within the old system. I really am interested in pioneering new systems. And in any ways in which the things that I develop and can teach and share with folks may be a bridge out of the old system into the new, that's terrific. So I have no objection to whether or not the kinds of things that I can share and teach become integrated into the old system and sort of change the system, or are used to create new systems altogether. But in my vision, I really, I think the things that I take from the old system are the community, that there's a community of learners who have the time to be together. For me, a classroom, what we typically think of when we imagine school and classroom and teaching and learning, a group of young people together who have the time, and a teacher, facilitator who is paid to be with them. I actually find that it's incredibly valuable. I think we're making terrible use of that system, but I think the fact that we have human beings together in a room with time, with a location, with people who are getting a financial return for being able to be available on time. I think that's beautiful, actually. And my vision would be to use that community completely different ways, because I know from my work that I do not need an external authority telling me what I need to learn. I do not need an outside resource through which to access knowledge. I actually can access knowledge through my empathic intelligence, which means my access to knowledge comes directly through my own heart. My access to knowledge about, I would say, anything, really anything that you want to inquire into, is available to us through our capacity to share and understand the experiences of another. So that's my vision, a community that uses its empathic intelligence coupled with its intellect and other ways of knowing to really source information that is rich and unique to my particular question, and allows me to take what I gain, to harvest what I've gained from that community inquiry, that empathic inquiry. I harvest that, and then I take that out into the world, and I can create something new, or I can make changes someplace. And that the process of doing this is truly joyful, because it's turning on all of my capacity as a person, as a human being. All of my capacity becomes available to me. And in this way, the learning experience, I think a lot of us, there's actually been a lot of work, there's the work of Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, who talks about flow. There are mindfulness practitioners who talk about presence. And then there are people who just are able to talk about embodiment. And then there are people who just know how to play and have fun. For me, all of those things collapse or can be held in a vision of learning, and one that is truly thrilling and stimulating and rewarding to be a part of.